Starting meeting at 7 o'clock, New Hartford Board of Ed here on December 7th, 21. I'm Carl Hermanot. I'm the interim chair here while we don't have a chair of the meeting. And we will start the meeting by having the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone could stand, please. I'm sorry, Heather, are you good? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Chair to select order of business. I don't have any changes to the order of business tonight. So we will move right on to new business. Tonight we're going to, after the election, we have to appoint new officers to the board, chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. So we'll go through that procedure now. I don't know if everyone has read through the bylaws, but as far as appointing new people to the chair and vice chair and secretary has to take place within 30 days of the election. So at the first meeting. So that's what we're doing at this point. So at this point in time, we will accept nominations for chairman, and we don't have to have seconds. We just have a nomination. We'll go through any nominations, then we'll take a vote. I have stickies for the vote. Penny Miller as secretary will collect them and then announce who received the most votes. Then we'll go through and do vice chairman and then secretary after that. Any questions? Okay. So let's start with chairman. Any nominations for chairman?
I nominate Tim Goff. I'm sorry, Tim Klebs.
I would have nominated Tim Goff too.
I nominate Carl Hermanot.
All right. We have Tim Kleps and Carl Hermanot nominated. Any other nominations? All right. Being said, I'll pass around stickies. And just put the name of who, you don't have to put your name, just put the name of the person you're voting for. And then you can.
Do you want me to put mine in the notes?
Sure, that'd be great, Deirdre. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes. We do have to vote who voted? Thank you, Brian. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, who you voted for.
Okay, put your name, who you voted for,
Yep.
and then submit them.
I just submitted mine to the chat from.
Thank you, Deirdre.
Pass them on down, please. Fill them up.
Is that everybody? Yeah. Penny, do you want to read the screen here? Or do you want me to?
You can just go in.
Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Deirdre voted for Tim Kleps.
All right, the votes are as follows. Jerry Stempian voted for Carl. Tony voted for Carl. Kelly voted for Carl. Carl voted for Carl. I voted for Carl. Deidre voted for Tim. Tim voted for Tim, and Tom voted for Tim. So congratulations, Carl.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's 5-3. Thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate it.
Take it, you accept it.
I do. I'll accept it. Thank you. All right, next we'll vote for vice chairman. Again, I'll pass down some stickies.
We need nominations first.
And yes, we do need nominations first. So any nominations for vice chairman?
I nominate Tim Klebs for vice chair.
Deirdre nominates Tim Kleps.
I'll nominate Tom Buzzy.
I nominate Kelly O'Donnell.
All right. Tim Kleps nominates Tom Buzzy, and Tony Persicino nominates Kelly O'Dell. Any other nominations?
Also,
All right. Did you guys get enough paper down there? Tom?
I'm not gonna accept it if I get it, so
Are you withdrawing
you're not gonna vote?
nomination?
I'm gonna vote. I'm just not gonna accept the nomination, so if I get the votes, I'm not doing it. That's all I'm telling you. So. Mr. Kleps wants to accept his nomination, that's,
I'll accept mine. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll submit.
If you have a secret vote, write it on the bottom of your paper.
Deirdre, you didn't vote yet, did you?
I nominated Tim Klebs,
But you didn't vote.
so I'm voting for him.
Okay, thank you. What did I?
There's two votes on it. Yep. Okay. Tony voted for Kelly, Mary voted for Kelly, Kelly voted for Kelly, I voted for Kelly, Carl voted for Kelly, Tim voted for Tim, Deidre voted for Tim, and Tom voted for Tim. Congrats, Kelly.
Thank you.
Congrats, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Hopefully you accept it.
I do.
Thank you. All right, and finally, we will accept nominations for secretary of the board.
I nominate Penny Miller.
Kelly nominates Penny Miller. Any other nominations? All right, you guys have enough stickies? Let me know. And Deirdre, just let me know and I'll submit your vote too.
Is Penny the only one nominated? Sam, apologize.
She is.
Okay, so I guess I vote for Penny.
Okay, Carl voted for Penny, Tom Buzzy, no vote, Tony voted for Penny, Tim Kleps voted for Penny, Mary voted for Penny, Deidre voted for Penny, Kelly voted for Penny, and I voted for Penny. All right, guess I'm your
Congratulations.
secretary again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. You accept?
Yes, I do.
Great. All right, thank you everyone for going through that. Congratulations to everybody. Next on the agenda, we have discussion of possible action regarding the process to fill the Board of Education vacancy. So as you all know, I think at this point, Heather Tamala has submitted her resignation from the board, which after the last meeting, I had her forward to me She said she has submitted it to town hall, which is required. And per the bylaws, so I'm just going to read them out loud so everyone understands the process. The announcement of a board vacancy will occur at the same meeting that the resignation is accepted, which is today. This resignation is not official until it's received by the town clerk, which it has been. The board chairperson will announce that all interested persons should submit resumes to the board chairperson. So I'm asking all interested parties to please submit them to me now. The press release regarding a board vacancy will be made and a deadline established for receipt of resumes. All submitted resumes will be mailed to board members prior to a special meeting. So at this point, we need to schedule a special meeting and also establish a date when resumes need to be submitted by, because and quite frankly, I think this bylaw needs to be modified if we can put it to committee at some point. A special meeting of the board will be held no later than 7 days and no earlier than 7 days and no later than 21 days after the resume deadline. So in other words, we have to establish a resume deadline, and then no earlier than 7 days from that date, we can set up that special meeting where we interview candidates and vote on the next person to fill Heather's spot on the board. Any questions on that?
Does there need to be a public announcement? Did I read that earlier or something to that effect?
Right.
When would-
Today basically represents the public announcement.
Oh, okay.
What about bylaw 9221?
Yep, bylaw 9221 as well requires that we fill the spot within 30 days of the resignation submission. So basically, we need to make a decision by
With the same
Next.
political party
with the
or
same
independent?
with a Republican or
So
independent.
when you're going to put out an announcement that says Republicans or independents only? I mean, that's not what we did for you, Carl. No offense. I mean, I have the minutes right here. You had your endorsement from the DTC.
Right.
There was never any announcement put out in front of the town. And we accepted your endorsement from the DTC
Yep.
with open arms and accepted you. But now, that's not good enough.
Well, I can't speak to, I was not part of the board at that time. I'm just going by, and
There's two, but then,
I'm just going by the bylaws. I understand your point, but,
well, how are you going to make an announcement? You're going to say it's just Republicans or independents?
well, we can, I mean, it has to be a replacement for the party that.
But wait,
the
you weren't
replacement.
a replacement, correct?
Yes, he was.
I was.
Oh, that's right, you were. Okay, you were. Right.
And if I don't know who's going to submit.
But you also weren't here when we interviewed Jen Benitis and some other gentleman who was a lawyer. We did it down in the library. And that was at a special meeting, and that was publicized. So apparently it changes sometimes.
Well, again,
And
that's
I
fine.
don't know why,
That's fine.
but now we're following the
But now
rules.
we're going to follow a different rule that's convenient for whomever. That's my point.
We're following our guidelines,
Well, we're
our
not.
policies.
But we're
But
not.
Tom, if a Democrat submits, we can't accept that person.
Nobody else submitted. He was unopposed. There wasn't anybody else.
Well, we didn't make a public announcement, Kelly. There was no solicitation
Well,
at
then
the
we-
meeting. I was there.
That
I have the
should've-
minutes right here. so-
that should have taken place.
It should have, but now it didn't. So the RTC spent several hours interviewing potential candidates,
I understand.
and we
We'll
did
have-
our due diligence, and and then, like, to my point, when your DTC chair came and asked us to accept Carl Hermanat, again, Carol, I have no problem with you being on the board. That's not my point. My point is
No, I
we did
But
not
actually,
follow
that
that
is-
rule.
But actually, that is the point.
No, it
because-
isn't,
yes, it
Kelly.
is.
Don't tell me my
Let's-
point,
let's-
please.
let's not-
I'm
No,
talking
Tom,
to
don't
Carl.
raise your voice
Don't
to me.
interrupt and tell me my point. That isn't my point. My point is we're not
Are
following the
you the
rules.
only one that is allowed to talk here?
Not-
we can all
While
have a
I'm talking, I'm the only one allowed to
Yeah,
talk.
you seem to do all the talking, and that's the
Folks.
problem.
Folks, let's just stay to the point. The
And
fact of
You
the-
don't let anybody else
Kelly.
talk.
Kelly,
You really need to wear your mask, please. That is the rule for school. It is a
What are you, the
mandate.
mask police now? I'm taking my mask off to talk. Here's a rule for you, right here.
Tom,
You're allowed to take off your mask while you're presenting. Teachers are to remove their mask during active instruction. So I took my mask off while I'm talking.
You're not a teacher. You're not talking to
Oh,
children.
okay.
you do need to wear your mask. So my point being, and I do understand your point, Tom, but my point is, if we didn't follow the rules in the past, I can't speak to that. I was not part of the board at that time. But we had this reviewed, and I've looked at it many times over the past week or so, and it's in the bylaws, so I can't. I mean, if it was written a different way and you felt differently, you would probably argue the opposite. So I got to follow what's in our bylaws.
The board's
Am I
not
allowed to
rejecting the
talk?
RTC's
I'm gonna raise my hand.
nomination or the recommendation.
And my
Nobody
point is that
rejected.
we followed a different rule this time, but it's not worth arguing about. I'm just pointing it out.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
So when we knew that you were the candidate, I think the difference is everybody on this board knew you because you were on the board prior, and we wanted you on the board. We knew
Well-
we knew who we were getting. I don't know who we're getting. I don't know all the candidates. I didn't get to interview Tim Russell.
But according to the bylaws, that day that I interviewed, anyone should have been invited that submitted their resume to interview, and that didn't seem to occur.
But I don't think there was anybody else who submitted.
Well, that might be the
That's the
case.
problem.
That might be the
But
case. I don't
hasn't
know.
he just been on the ballot too?
I don't know. Maybe I was the only one to submit my resume. I don't know.
I'm sorry, Carl, can I speak up?
Sure.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Let me just turn down the.
Turn down the other.
Am I allowed to talk right now?
Yes.
So, I thought it was, I'm still new, so I'm listening to what everyone's saying, but I thought that the committee had already spent hours and hours interviewing. There was five candidates on the board, and they did extensive interviewing, so on all the candidates that had applied, I think I think there were five, I'm not sure, I wasn't involved in that process, but the way we understood it was that they picked the candidate, and based on the bylaws, based on how you were chosen, that would be the case tonight. That it was just, it'd be almost a blessing at that point.
Well, it is. So, and I spoke with the RTC chair about this. It's the board's decision to nominate or not nominate. I'm sorry, pick the candidate, and the RTC or DTC, for that matter, if it's in a different scenario, can endorse someone, but that endorsement does not automatically lead to that person being put on the board. It's the board's decision, the 9 folks on the board or 8 folks on the board, to elect that person onto the board, to appoint that person onto the board. And that's why the bylaws are written as such, because it leaves, while we know we have our RTC endorsed candidate, the bylaws indicate we need to have an open submission of resumes over a certain time period to review any interested candidates. Now, there might not be other interested candidates, and that's fine, but that's what our bylaws say.
We have to go through
Because
the
I would just
process.
be concerned with the wishy-washy of the bylaws, the confusion of the bylaws, because it wasn't done before, so I think that I'm a little concerned at the wishy-washiness of it.
Well,
Just being new
it's
board
not-
member.
It's not really wishy-washy if you go through it. I mean, it's pretty clear. Do I agree with how they're written? No. I mean, this bylaw was written in 2006, I believe, so it's a little bit outdated. I think, given today's day and age, we probably don't need to have a press release. We can probably do it in some other fashion, but I would recommend we actually put this to subcommittee to reevaluate and maybe get some advice from Kate on other procedures that other boards follow. Oh, I lost your audio, Deirdre.
She's stepping away.
I still lost your audio.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
there you go.
apologize. Is there a subcommittee that's already been chosen, or that has to be decided tonight?
We will, that's one topic I wanted to talk about. What we'll do traditionally is, we have the subcommittees formed as far as what the subcommittees are, unless we want to change those. And I will ask folks I'll send an email after tonight's meeting and ask who's interested in what subcommittees. Some you might want to stay on the same subcommittee, and I can talk to you, Deirdre, about, because you're new, what you might be interested in. And then I'll appoint people to each of the subcommittees.
Okay.
at the
All
next
right,
meeting.
great. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other
When
discussion?
when did we receive Heather's resignation?
I received it after, I asked for it after the last board meeting. I had never received it.
So do we know when she submitted? I guess because I'm going by the bylaw you just read, but 30 days, right? So when does that 30 days start?
Well, she was at the last board meeting, still, I believe her date of resignation was the day after the.
The day after.
Yeah, so I think it's the 18th of,
The town clerk received it November 18th.
okay, thank you, Brian. So we need to make a decision by December 18th, which is next Friday, I believe. We also need to have this resume period open. So what I was going to propose is that we have our special meeting on Thursday, on that day, is it Thursday the 16th? Where we invite the candidates in. Now, the only thing, I'm not sure how that day works for other people,
I can do that.
because I want to make sure we have a day that everyone can make it, December 16th.
We need a quorum.
We do, and I'd prefer to have everyone here.
I can make it.
I can make it.
Are there other holiday
good.
parties or anything going on that day that are an issue? Penny's good, Kelly's good,
Yep.
I'm good.
That should be all right.
What time would the meeting be, Carl?
I'd like to have at 6 o'clock if we could,
On the 17th, you said?
on the 16th,
16th?
Thursday the 16th,
Okay. I'll make it work.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, if that's possible.
Yep.
Tim, are you good? I know you,
I can make it work. And this is the interview.
this is the special meeting where we will invite interested candidates that submit their resumes and we'll interview all of them and take a vote that night to fill Heather's spot.
Carl, can you let me in on my computer? I just asked to join.
Sure. Did that work? Okay. Tom, was that good for you?
Yep,
that day?
that's fine, thank
And
you.
Mary, you said okay? Okay, great. So the date is set. We'll have December 16th at 6 o'clock as our special meeting to appoint Heather's replacement. Brian, I think based on that timeline, we would need resumes by the 9th, this Thursday, which would be 7 days before the 16th as our date. Is that your understanding?
Yes, and just ask the board for clarification. So as far as the press release, we could put on a website tomorrow, and then in the Waterbury Republican American for Thursday, and then by 5 o'clock, we would have to hand the resumes in to you, Carl.
Yep.
So it's a quick turnaround, 2 days. Does everyone agree with that process?
You said posted where, Brian?
On the website, tomorrow and Thursday, and then on Thursday, in the Waterbury Republican American,
Okay,
which is alluded to in our policy, the resident of New Hartford is part of the Republican or Independent Party. That states in our policy.
great. So you're going to outline the policy itself for clarification?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
You know, the whole policy's not going to be in paper.
Right.
Yes,
But the highlighted. Okay. And the submission time will be 5 o'clock on Thursday to me, right? Great. Penny, can you just make sure that's in the minutes too?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion or questions on that process that I think we need to change? Fortunately, we don't have too many vacancies come up. All right, next on the agenda, The Board of Ed meeting calendar for 2022, which Brian included in the packet. We set our 2022 schedule. Brian, I did notice in that middle paragraph, it referenced all the 2021 dates. I assume that just needs to be removed,
Yes, we'll take that out, keep the meeting at 7 o'clock.
and we're not going to have virtual. That whole reference, that whole
Right.
paragraph will be gone. Okay.
Do you need a motion to approve it?
We do. And these meetings are on our regularly scheduled Tuesdays, correct?
Yeah.
If I went through the calendar.
I make a motion that we accept the calendar as presented for the Board of Education meetings to be held for the year 2022 at 7 p.m. at Anthony School in the multi-purpose room.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Brian, have we always had in that budget season, didn't we usually have 3 meetings in March, or?
We always have 2 meetings, and we usually cancel that second meeting depending on where we are in the budget process.
Okay, and depending on the day, they pick all their Board of Finance meetings as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we gonna talk about location?
Well, Penny's motion, you had all meetings will be held at Antolini in the multi-purpose room.
Okay.
I did say that.
All right, well, what about, you wanna add in there just in case it's being utilized? Or hold it, how do you want?
The library. Then I'll amend my motion to state that all meetings will be held at the Anthony School.
I have to say, like, I think I've said this before, I really like the library for the board. I know it's not always convenient for the public, and especially during COVID where we might want to distance, but I always like the U shape in there, so we're talking to each other rather than out there. I just think it's,
Well, how about now we have YouTube it, so is this more, more
it's possible. The only thing is, if we get 20 people in the public, it's hard to fit in that little room. But it's just, I don't know, it's more intimate to me. I guess we can take it meeting by meeting, but I don't know what you guys think.
We need to vote on the motion.
All right, so Penny has a,
Well, wait a minute, Brian, do you like the meetings more so here, or do you want them in the library?
So as many members remember, we moved here to accommodate the public. A lot of engagement, so we had a larger space. That's why we changed to the meeting center. So, I think the meeting center is much more intimate. And, I think it's a very good space. A lot of people start coming to meetings, we could always move it back here to the multi-purpose room, but that's up to the board's plan.
I don't have a preference, I'll go either way.
Well, why can't we just leave the motion with, that the meetings will be held here at the school? And then do we have to put in a meeting place right now?
we could keep it at the school and change it as necessary for each meeting if we wanted to,
Okay.
if everyone is in agreement.
Interchange between the two rooms.
Yeah. I mean, I just hate to be stuck in that room and have 30 people show up,
Right.
But I've always thought we could try to make a U in here too, but it's just not as workable. But- All right, so Penny, any other discussion before we take a vote? All right, so the motion on the floor is from Penny to accept the meeting date schedule as Brian has submitted. All meetings will be held at Antolini School. We'll take out the multipurpose room, just mentioned that all meetings will take place at Antelope School. All in favor? Opposed? Deirdre opposed? Abstentions?
I oppose.
Yeah, Tom opposed, I'm sorry, I was just, Tim, did you vote?
Yes, I voted for.
Oh, okay, thank you, I'm sorry, I missed your hand. All right. Thank you. Brian, Superintendent's report tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Carl. So tonight, I'm pleased to introduce Heather Mathis, our curriculum coordinator. She'll present the curriculum development plan. It's purposely aligned with the 5-year strategic plan and school development plans and special education development plan that were presented over the last several months here at the Board of Education meeting. Still focusing on our 3 goals as far as student achievement, school climate, and expanding technology-based opportunities for our students. With that, central focus tonight will be the 5-year curriculum plan. That a lot of work was put in. It wasn't done top down. It was reviewed by staff, teachers, administration, through our PDEC committee, Professional Development Evaluation Curriculum Committee, every year and vetted. And this is a framework for our curriculum moving forward. It will be reviewed every single year. There will be tweaks every single year. And we're very proud of that document. In addition, Heather will present our new English language arts curriculum documents. So that was a lot of information, and it was a tremendous heavy lift, and it was the role of the district for the last several years. Now we have our ELA curriculum in writing, the documents will be on our website, and we're very proud and pleased of that, and the next step will be for our math curriculum documents. Very purposeful, very helpful for teachers. It's a framework as far as units, what they cover per month. It helps, it breeds collaboration between and among teachers. Also, teachers moving from grade level to grade level, or new teachers coming into New Hartford is also very beneficial as well. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Heather Mathis. Heather? Yeah.
Okay, thank you for having me here this evening. I'm really excited to share this plan with you. And so, as Brian mentioned, over the past few years, the administrators have developed school improvement plans to help guide the work that we do here at school with our staff and our students. And so, as I review that information with you tonight, for those of you who have seen the other plans presented earlier in the year, there is going to be some overlap, and that is intentional so that we are in alignment with the same understanding. And it's been a process that we have gone through together and continue to review and refine over time. And it's something that we'll continue to do to grow and develop as a district. Okay. So it all begins with a theory of action. And again, this is something you have seen before, but the purpose of the theory of action is so that we all have the same understanding and mindset for the work that we're going to do. It's the big idea that drives all of our work. And from that theory of action, we have developed this district's 5-year goals. The first one looks at improving teaching and learning. Again, always looking at the data. So all of those decisions are based in hard data that we have from our students. The second is school climate. Without a positive school climate where students and staff feel safe, that goal number 1 is not attainable. So those 2 are critical in our work that we do together. And finally, especially now after the past 2 years of our pandemic, technology and educational opportunities are so important, but we also want to be mindful that those opportunities and the technology we use are purposeful and are appropriate to excel and expand our students' learning. So from our theory of action, here's what we as a district say we're going to do. From there, we've developed some student learning goals. With those student learning goals, we've identified some specific actions that we're going to take and perform in order to meet those goals. Now, most of the action steps that you see in my plan are very similar to the principals and Barbara's plan. One or two of the differences that I'll highlight for you tonight are really specific to my role as a curriculum coach. So student learning goal number 1, read and comprehend complex literary and informational texts independently and proficiently. That is something we want all of our students to attain. In that, my job as a curriculum coach is to work with individual teachers and teams, looking at data, seeing how our students are performing, and from there, develop some goals. What are we going to work on together to get students from point A to point B? Those cycles look at like 1, looking at data, 2, developing a goal, 3, doing some planning together. So what are we going to do in the classroom with our students to achieve those goals? It might be me going in to model a lesson. It might be co-teaching. It might be someone going in to watch a peer who really excels in a certain area. And then throughout that process, we're reflecting and refining our work together. At the end of about a 6 to 8 week cycle, we take a look at the work we've done and make some next steps. Again, sometimes that's done with an individual teacher, but it can also be done with teams. The next piece that is unique to my plan is the English Language Arts Committee. So this year, we've developed committees for all of our content areas, English Language Arts being one of them. This is so critical for us to look at across the district. It is comprised of teachers from K to 6, including special education representation, and we look at our teaching practices, our assessment practices, and the things that we're using with our students, and are looking to see where we need to continue to support, some things that we're doing really well, and then also looking at assessment. So it helps when we are looking at this goal, well, what are we actually doing? And then that vertical alignment. So kindergarten teachers hear what 6th grade's doing, 3rd grade teachers hear what 2nd grade is doing. It's really important that we have a common language and understanding of how students are learning across all grade levels. The next student learning goal has to do with math. This focus this year is on attend to precision, one of the mathematical practices. So my role in this, again, just like in language arts, is to be working and coaching with individual teachers and teams. We've developed and established a math committee. The work the math committee does this year will specifically look at the implementation of our new math program, Illustrative Mathematics, in addition to review our assessment practices to make sure that what we're teaching and assessing, both formatively and summatively, are truly helping to drive our instruction and to meet the needs of all of our learners. Again, seeing that across grade levels, K to 6, including special education staff. And as Brian mentioned previously, one of the other charges I'll have this year, now that we have a new program in place, is to develop curriculum documents, kindergarten through 6th grade, to bring in cohesive, coherent units of study that we can continually refine and practice each and every year. The final goal that we've identified is technology. As I mentioned before, it's our job to continue to look out for research, effective practices, and how technology is used in education, including online learning platforms. There are tons of them out there. I get emails daily from different companies saying, try my program, do this, that'll improve scores. But it's really important as a district that we look very carefully and strategically at these programs to ensure that they're going to fully support the learning of our students. So the programs that we've been using recently have been both Lexia and Dreambox for ELA and math. They're research-based programs that have provided a great deal of support to the work that we've done in our curriculum and has been a nice supplement during times of distance learning. And finally, ongoing professional development in technology. We've been very fortunate to have lots of different tools to use in technology, and we have several staff members who are able to share their expertise with one another during some professional time. So we have what's called ed camps, where we have our own internal staff members share and train other teachers in the educational technology practices that they're using with their students. So that's work that we want to continue to use throughout our work here in New Hartford. From there, we have to look at some long-range planning. And so that's where our 5-year curriculum plan comes in place. So thinking about our theory of action, our district goals, and our student learning goals, we need to make sure that we have a plan in place to support those pieces and long-term so that we can continue to support teaching staff and to ensure that the instruction that we're providing to our students is top rate. So you'll see that this is built into 4 different categories. You have a hard copy in your packets. This might be a little tricky to see. So we look at it 1 year at a time over 5 years. And so in professional learning, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing in our curriculum and in our instruction, we're supporting teachers to provide the very best practices that they can in those areas. We also want to ensure that the assessments, the way we're looking at how students are performing, is also aligned with what we're teaching and with what is happening in our professional learning so that we're making sure we're using that data appropriately. So just to highlight a few things for this year. In pre-K, it should say, I apologize, pre-K to 2nd grade, we have incorporated a program called Hegarty. It's a phonemic awareness program to help develop the phonemic awareness skills of our youngest learners. It is a critical component in learning how to read. And so this is a very systematic way to teach them how to do that. This year, we've made some adjustments to our science instruction. And so students in kindergarten through 5th grade will use mystery science. Mystery science is aligned to the NGSS, the next generation of science standards, and it offers a variety of hands-on experiments, discussions, web-based video, and discourse between students. It's been received tremendously by all of our students. If you have a child and they said, "Today, Mystery Doug taught us about worms," then you know that they were in 5th grade taking a look at what happens with worms. It's very engaging. This year as well, in grades 3 through 4, we've extended our Foundations program, which is the phonics program that we've used in the pre-K to 2 grade levels. What we noticed is that we needed to continue to systematically build how our students decode, read words, and encode, spell words. And so we've extended that through 4th grade. We'll continue the work that we've done with Reader's Workshop, the ruler approach, our social emotional based approach to our well-being with students and staff. And then for 6th grade, they will continue in their 3rd year of illustrative math, and it's our 2nd year with grades kindergarten through 2nd. I apologize, through 5th. So you'll see that all of those pieces have some support along the way, and we're assessing them as well. So it's a great cross-reference for us to make sure that we're in alignment in all 4 of those areas. I'm not going to go through every single piece of the next 4 years, but you will see that a lot of those pieces of the programs that we use will continue. We're going to look at curriculum work with math. Next year, it's going to be science and social studies. You'll also notice that we've included our special areas. Special areas have worked diligently to complete their special areas curriculum documents, and so those will be continued to be reflected upon and revised as time goes on. Again, we'll continue that work. And what I should note is that, and Brian mentioned this before, is that this is something that we're continually looking at. It's something that we review at our administrative retreat in the summer and then share with staff to make sure that we have all the pieces that we need to do. So you might notice in next year when we present this again, there might be some small changes based on what's happening. This also helps us to ensure that we have continuous work in all of these areas, and we provide support to our teachers to make sure we provide those to our students as well. I'm going to pause for a moment. I've been just talking a lot. And there's our final year. Again, you'll see all those things have continued. We're going to continue to reflect and revise curriculum and provide our professional development aligned with those pieces. Okay. The final piece, one of the other projects that we have been working on over the past few years is our English language arts curriculum documents. Currently, we have documents for kindergarten through 6th grade in both reading and writing. And so what I'm going to do is in your packet, you have a sample of a reading, I believe 3rd grade reading and a 3rd grade writing. These are documents that teachers have received at the very beginning of this year, and it's a document that they continue to work off of and will revise and reflect upon at the end of every year. And so this document contains a lot of information. What you have in front of you is what teachers will see. And so I just want to go quickly, part by part, through what all of those components are. So at the very beginning, you're obviously going to have what the unit is, the grade matches to, and the length of the unit. Length of unit is really important because we want to ensure that we are properly pacing all of our content areas and units throughout the year to ensure that all of our standards are covered. It helps to keep us on track to ensure that from one grade to the next, students are receiving what they need. The next piece is the overview, especially for a new teacher, either to our district or to a grade. It's a snapshot at what's happening in this unit. The essential questions are more of those philosophical questions that don't always have an exact answer, but throughout the unit, students will develop an understanding to provide their own version of their answer to those questions. And as in any curriculum document, it's always going to be aligned to standards. You'll notice that we've separated it out by priority standards and supporting standards. Standards are extremely important, especially those priority standards right now, especially as we've had some disruption to our school years. And so we want to ensure that those priority standards are being met for each and every unit. The next section is the understanding. It's the big idea. What are kids going to walk away with after this unit? Their knowledge, so we're kind of drilling down to some smaller and smaller components. The knowledge tells us, by the end, what are some key terms, what are some key ideas that students are going to know and be able to do at the end of this unit? And going next to skills. Those are the fine areas of what students do based on it. So what are they going to perform? What can they do at the end of a unit? Built in from there, we have both formative and summative assessments. Those formative assessments are going to be used to drive our instruction. They're going to look like a variety of different things: an exit ticket, a running record, a reading log, just to get a little pulse about what's happening with students so that we can adjust instruction as we're going through a unit and not waiting till the very end and discovering that something is troubling. Or it also provides an opportunity for us to extend. Our summative assessments are going to be those end of unit assessments to really take a look at what students need. Obviously, it's not going to end there. We're going to continue to support and extend students based on their performance on a summative assessment as well. In your next box, is the learning activities. So here, it's going to give you an overview of what our reading and writing workshop looks like. From there, we've identified key learning targets. So these are learning targets that will be introduced to our students in a mini lesson. Most of these teaching points will be given during each and every unit. There might be times where a teacher might not need to put out a certain teaching point based on what their students know. Vocabulary is going to be both content and academic. Again, really important to make sure that kids know what they're talking about and understand that academic vocabulary that they're going to continue to use throughout their career, and especially on state testing, another important component to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students. And the final piece are resources. So what are the texts that we use? What are the student learning materials that we need? And what are some of those additional teacher resources that we need to provide and support the work that we do with our students? So this is done for both reading and writing, K to 6. And over the years, you will notice that there might be units that get changed, or we might add to as we learn new things. I mean, the good and the bad of education is that things are always changing. New practices are being introduced, and so we always want to be mindful of how that fits into what we do to make sure we meet the needs of our students. Okay, so that brings me to the end. I just want to say thank you for your continued support. I know it's going to sound cliche, but it truly takes a village to have all this work done. And you'll see there are pages and pages of important information, but without the support of our staff and our administration, the Board of Ed and families and students, none of this can come to light. So I appreciate your support, and we're excited to continue the work that we do here in New Hartford. So I'm happy to take any questions at this time. I'm sorry?
You covered it really well. I read through it all. I'm really interested because we do a lot of the same things in our district, so.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if you have any questions later, feel free to reach out to Brian or myself, but I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Brian, anything else on the?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is public comment. I'll just read this out loud. For public comment, each commenter has 5 minutes allotted to each speaker and a maximum of 20 minutes per each subject matter. No boisterous conduct shall be permitted at any Board of Education meeting. Persistence in boisterous conduct shall be grounds for summary termination by the chairperson of that privilege of address. If necessary, the chairperson may clear the room so the board can continue the meeting. No oral presentation shall include charges or complaints against any employee of the Board of Education, regardless of whether or not the employee is identified in the presentation by name or other reference which tends to identify that individual. All charges or complaints against employees shall be submitted to the Board of Education under provisions of Board of Education policy. Would anyone like to have a public comment? Please state your name and address, please.
Linda Goff, 291 Maple Hollow Road. I just wanted to let you know that I was one of the ones that sat on the committee that interviewed all the candidates for the future person to sit on the Board of Education. The only reason why I wanted to come up and say something was just to let you know we really put a lot of time and effort into this. We interviewed them, we listened to them, and we came out with a candidate that we felt strongly was a good candidate for you. You will also interview them. You will also, hopefully see what we saw in Tim. Tim is here tonight to listen to the meeting and see how things are going. And we were very impressed. And he also has 3 young children that will be coming up through the system. And I think it's important to have a parent involved as well. But I just wanted to let you know that we were pleased with our choice. So
Thanks, Linda. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name's Ole Carlson. I live at 455 West Hill Road, and I think you all know me. By the way, for your curriculum coordinator, over the last 10 years, roughly 50% of the children in this school system have failed math standard tests, and roughly 60% have failed English at the end of each year for the last 10 years. So you have a steep hill to climb.
Mr. Carlson, could you use the microphone, please?
Sure. Okay, to the Board of New Hartford Board of Education. Tonight, I want to talk about management, yours and the senior staff. The Board of Education has managed to get a member who advocates breaking the law, putting children and teachers at risk, and endangering those at home. The Board of Education has managed to approve a rising budget every year as the number of students has declined. The Board of Education has managed to approve an increase in school staff as the number of students has declined. The Board of Education has managed to keep 3 schools open when only 1 was needed. The Board of Education has managed to waste between $4 and $5 million per year on empty seats. The Board of Education has managed to increase the town's mill rate with no return. The Board of Education has managed and done nothing as the school's state rank has declined every year. The senior staff has managed to increase the budget every year. The senior staff has managed to add teachers and teaching sufficient to teach something like 1,200 students. Good job. The senior staff has not managed to improve the performance of students over the last 10 years. The senior staff has not managed to improve the school's state ranking. In your management of the New Hartford school system, you've been very consistent. If failure was your management objective, you've been successful. As the members of this board, as you, the members of this board, look at each other, you know what's happening is wrong, but you don't do anything. Collectively, you're on a trip to Abilene. Now, speaking as a person who's been around this country and has children in something like 5 or 6 different states over my years of service, the one thing we looked at when we moved to town was the mill rate in the town and the school's performance. If the school's performance was good, we didn't care about the mill rate. If the school's performance sucked, we didn't go to that town. Something like 60 people and 28 kids moved into Cornwall. They have a low mill rate and they have a very good school system. We're closer to New York, Hartford, and the big surrounding towns, and we've done very badly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment tonight? As Tim used to say, going once? Going twice? All right. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda, we have approval of the minutes and the expenditure report. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda? Or does anyone have any issues they want to talk about?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the minutes, or are we good? They look good. Impeccable minutes, Penny.
Second.
Yeah, they were good. Any comments or anything to discuss? Good. All right, all in favor of the motion to accept the consent agenda? Aye. Deirdre's aye. Opposed? Abstained? Mary, sorry. Mary abstained. All right, thank you. And we move on to Kelly. I believe you're going to go through this is the second reading
Yeah.
of each one of these reports.
There's, I just want to make sure everybody knows that the 3 policies for the second read, there were 3 new ones that you were handed. So just make sure you refer to the new ones. Minor changes, but.
So there's 2 copies? Say that again?
No, these 3 that we're doing the second read on, they are actually, we gave you 3 new ones
Okay,
to
gotcha.
replace those.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first policy, P0200. And again, it's just the second read, so you can just go through. We didn't make any changes on this one the last time, so as long as it's good for everybody.
And the red is what was changed last time, right? For the original.
Yeah.
We have to have a motion for each one of these.
I thought we went through, we both gone
You
through.
go through all three.
You
Yeah,
can
that's
go
what I
through all
thought.
three? Okay, thank you. Nothing on P0, 200?
And then on P5144.4, this was discipline, physical exercise and discipline of students. The only thing we had changed was from K-12 to K-6. And nothing else changed on that.
Everyone good on that one? Okay,
And then on P3542.43, we had taken out, B was already removed, and so we decided to take out A.
what was A4?
All right, Brian? All charges must be paid within 10 days. Students may charge for a regular lunch up to $25. Students may charge for a regular lunch up to $25. After 20
Oh, you moved it to
No,
the,
no, no. I think what this is supposed to read is B was taken out. So we said we weren't going to have the letter A. Remember? But that whole thing was supposed to be taken out. Correct?
you added it here.
Oh, she added it there. Okay.
Yeah, you added it to the main,
I see what she did. Got it. That's why
so
it
you
says
took
that.
out the A.
Well, I didn't. Hold up. She took out the A and she moved it. Okay. Yep, then it's right. All good. And then that was it. You good on those?
Everyone good on that?
Yep.
So those are the only three final reads?
Yep.
Oh, we have more. We only have three?
Go on.
Yep, so we need a motion to approve policy 022, policy 5144, and policy 3542.43 as the second reading. Anyone want
I'll
to
make
make
a
that
motion.
motion?
I will.
Kelly? Any second?
Second.
Mary seconds. All in favor? Unanimous.
What about the,
Deirdre, I'm sorry, you had your hand raised, right?
No, I don't,
Oh,
I'm
you
not
didn't.
vote on this because I haven't read, I mean, I've only read through it, I haven't read anything. So I don't care to vote on it.
That's fair enough. You abstain? Okay, Deirdre abstains.
It's Dear, by the way, it's Deirdre.
Oh, Deirdre, I'm sorry. I should have asked you
I
that.
didn't want to correct you publicly, but it's Deirdre.
Please do, Deirdre. Just correct me if I say that again, I'm sorry. All right. Moving along. Now, these are the first reads of the other policies?
Yep. 4 first reads. Okay, so the first one is P511.2A, and this refers to students' attendance, excused absences, and truancy. I'll let everybody just kind of read through. There was one change we made, but we'll kind of read through till we get there. And again, just keep in mind all the red is what was added.
And all of these, Kelly, were recommendations by Kate, but they didn't have any other changes.
No, but we did on 1, 2, 3, 4, on D, page D. When we get to chronic absenteeism, down, second to last paragraph. We took that out, 'cause it doesn't really pertain to us. It's grades 9 through 12.
I have a question on this, on the 2 days of mental health. Is that in a different policy, or just the only policy that is talked about?
It's the only policy that's called.
So we want kids to take 2 additional days off from school. I mean, to me, that doesn't seem like the greatest idea. We're trying to work on, we've had COVID absences, we continue to have quarantine absences, we have testing issues, but, I mean, I'm just asking everyone's opinion. To me, that's not the best idea for getting kids educated.
Yes, Tom, that's a great question, and quite frankly, it's controversial with a lot of educators in the state. But the powers that be, the state legislature, the CSDE, have felt over the last couple of years what's transpired with COVID-19, that students will need this. But you are right, the goal is always to have kids in school as much as possible. So that was the justification by the state legislature doing this.
So again, I have another question. We have to do this.
We have to, yeah.
So why are we voting on it? Again, I'm not trying to be a pain, but if we have to rubber stamp this stuff, I guess we should all be aware of it, but it's odd to me that we have to vote this in like we have a choice. That's making an observation.
Yes, I understand that CAVE, Technical Associate Board of Education, is providing guidance to districts to follow the law. But yes, when you look at logically, I understand your point on this.
So I'm educating you. This is a law.
Yeah. The legislature passed this into law.
Tom, where's that reference in the document?
Pardon me?
Where's that reference in the
The mental
document?
well,
I just have
The 2 days?
513.
It's in the red.
I mean, remember, this is over the course of a whole year, it's only 2 days.
Yeah,
Are you looking at the wrong one?
Well, I know we had a huge discussion just knocking ourselves down
So-
to 180 from
So
181.
Brian, is it my understanding that's these children get the 2 days and it doesn't count as an absentee? Is that correct? Is that what that's
They're absent, but it's an excuse that.
an excuse that?
It's P5.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Got it?
Yes,
There you go, right there.
thank you. Have we used this? I mean, is this occurring throughout the year?
Yes.
So it's obviously needed.
As Tom mentioned, there's a lot of debate if it's needed,
Right.
but once again, the justification of what was transpired over the last 2 years, giving kids this opportunity.
I know, I'm an adult, not even mental health days.
Brian, would you be able to get me the legal reference on that? We have a second? Is that readily available to you?
Sure,
Not now, obviously. You can email me.
sure.
Thank you.
Is it time for them to seek like outside counseling or some sort of therapy? Or is that just their home with their parents, or do we know?
Sorry, is it time, I'm sorry, could you clarify that question?
Is that time that they're spending seeking therapy?
No, it does not have to be, no. No, it would just be at home.
And that's, it's not necessarily recommended by someone within the school, social worker or someone, it could be directed by the parent, right?
That's right.
Generally.
Are we debating this or is it-
No, it's just, it is interesting.
I don't have a problem with it.
All right, what was the other, I'm sorry, what was the other change you made, Kelly, at least now that I have the right document?
Okay, on D, P5113.2B,
Yes.
second to last paragraph we took out. Because it wasn't pertaining to us, our grade levels. It's 9 through 12.
Okay. So that's changed in the next reading.
Yes. And then, everybody okay with that? Okay. P5144.2A. This is about the use of exclusionary timeout settings. Basically, timeouts, excessive timeouts, using different rooms.
I'm familiar with this one. This is the one I was looking at.
Basically, it's all about, you can't seclude children. They always have to be in eyesight of a teacher or an adult. The one thing we took out here is on D, number 4, letter A, where it says the director of special education, and then in parentheses, it says of blank. We took that out. Just what was in parentheses is going to be removed. So it reads, the director of special education shall be responsible to the superintendent, and then the rest. But it discusses use of exclusionary timeout settings, physical space uses timeout setting.
Sorry, Kelly, you're saying there's changes in here? They're not highlighted?
It's a brand new.
This is all,
This is a new read. So we did this tonight, and we took out.
it's not marked up, there's no changes.
Ryan, can you explain more about how the student is separated but not separated? It looks like continually observed, supervised,
This is his show.
shall monitor student at all time in the timeout setting. So is that inside the room, outside the room, or is there a special
Yeah, we
place?
just did this.
Where is that from? What page?
It's on B, I'm not sure if
So
it's
Tim,
finding the wrong.
What's in
section.
parentheses? Hang on.
51442B, bottom of the page.
Yes, so that's an area separate from the classroom. That has to be always supervised by a staff member.
It's like the principal's office or something, or?
Yeah, we have different rooms. We work with students with special needs in those rooms.
So they would be putting there because they were disruptive, they'd be putting there to be talked to, or?
Yes, if they're dangerous to themselves or other students, yes.
So Tim, to answer your question on number 4A, because this is the first read, we just did that tonight. So if you want to cross out, just so you can reference it at the next meeting, what's in the parentheses, just cross that out. That's what we did tonight. And that was the only change we did on that, right? Anybody else have any questions about that? The next one is P3542.41A. Food service, school lunch service, professional standards for food service personnel. I'll just let you guys read through it. We didn't make any changes on this.
What are these brackets on the first page for? School breakfast, superintendent. These little weird
doodads?
things.
Yeah,
I
what
don't
are
know what
those
that's
for?
for.
You just take the words, yeah.
Maybe take those
Take
out.
those out.
Take those out.
It's almost like they're referencing who the person is, maybe.
Oh, I thought they were the little check marks.
Oh, maybe that is
Oh,
what
that is what it is.
Because they're up in the first paragraph too.
Yep.
I don't know. I wouldn't take those out.
Because the second
Well,
paragraph says,
Yeah, but-
service shall be under the supervision of the school services director, who shall be responsible to, and then you pick who the person is that they're responsible to.
Right, you gotta pick one.
Yes, the new copy should probably have a check by it, because we don't do breakfast, do we, Brian?
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do?
But that references assistant superintendent as a choice. I think we just need to pick,
Or you can just put superintendent in there because
right,
we don't have an assistant super, we don't have a business manager.
Right.
just cross
So you
those
want to
out.
go, you want to cross those two out and
Yeah.
just leave it as superintendent?
Right.
That actually makes sense.
But in the first paragraph, I think both apply, you have breakfast and lunch.
Good catch, Carl.
Are there any other changes on this policy? You guys didn't make any other changes?
No.
All right, any other questions on the policy? Everyone good?
Last one is P1110.1A, community relations, communications with the public, and parent involvement. And again, we didn't make any changes on here, but note the ones that Kate added. Isn't it? That's all in red.
That second red paragraph, it sounds like if there's an extended remote learning period, they would require another parent-teacher conference?
Yeah.
And on the back, communications with the public, and then there's a whole piece with parent involvement. Continued on.
Any other questions on that first reading? Okay. Do we need a motion on those, Brian? All right, so you guys will make those changes. There's not many changes, but those changes for the next reading. Great.
I'll let Janet know tomorrow.
Okay,
Get that done.
thank you. Thanks, Kelly. All right. That's all we got tonight. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second? Tony beat you by a hair.
Second.
Sorry, Barry. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Opposed?
Tony.
Tony. You didn't vote though, Tony.
That's okay. That's like it.